Hey there, everybody. This is Justin Palaniuk from the Page team here with John Rossman, our featured speaker. He's a former executive from Amazon. He just came out with his book, Think Like Amazon. He just gave a brilliant presentation here at the annual conference. He's managing partner at Rossman Partners as well. Great to have you here, John.
Thanks, Justin.
We really appreciate you coming out here to tell us about how Amazon actually works and how our companies can actually really adapt to be more reflective of Amazon. So if you had to distill, and this is a broad question, but let's really tighten it up. If you had to distill Amazon's culture into a few sentences, how would you describe it?
Well, the first thing I'd say is the book isn't about Amazon. It's about the strategies and mindset and the mechanisms that anybody can take from Amazon to try to get the results that Amazon gets, whether that's around operational excellence or innovation or leadership. And to boil Amazon down is a tough question. You said these were going to be easy, but that's a tough question. But I think it really is around leadership principles. They have 14 leadership principles. Those leadership principles really dictate like how we work together, what we believe in, how we make decisions. And then from the bottoms up, it's about metrics, instrumentation, measuring everything, and then orientating ourselves to getting to perfection, like operational excellence in everyday operations. That's really the day in a life of at Amazon and how they work together.
And one of the fundamental tenets of Amazon that's been widely publicized is the customer obsession. And you made the point during your speech today that obsession was a very deliberately chosen word. And now why is that?
Well, because you know when you're around it, right? And they meant it to be a pungent word, right? One that smells, and it really gives them permission to solve problems broadly for customers. And so it set them upon this exploration that's been essentially the history of Amazon. But the thing I'd point out is people like, well, customer obsession, everything. No, it's one of 14 leadership principles. It's the first, it's probably the most famous, but it's just one of 14. And it's really the interplay between these leadership principles and then the mechanisms for how those come to life, which is really what I explore in the book, that create the mix at Amazon. You can't just have customer obsession. So it's a vital ingredient, but not the only ingredient.
Of course, and one of the other ingredients we discussed today is the focus on testing and experimentation, and not necessarily fearing failure, but using it as a means to express the long view of the company. And maybe let's touch on that a little bit. So how does data and analytics really play into this idea of testing, retesting, wash, rinse, repeat?
Yeah, so the macro point is that you have to be planful in how you innovate, how you improve, right? It doesn't happen just by accident. It starts with creating good tests, right? So hypothesis-driven tests, and then using data to be deliberate in proving or disproving that test, and then progressing to the next aspect. And you need to be able to do that quickly, right? That's the agile mindset, minimally viable product aspect to it. But and we talked about this in the discussion, which is failure is a overloaded term, right? It's used in lots of different contexts. The failure we're talking about is testing-driven learning, right? Did it work? Did it didn't work? We're not talking about the failure of execution, failure of culture, failure of leadership, all these other types of failure. So I really try to use the word, learning or experimentation versus failure, so that people aren't confused by, we're not talking about just throwing things at the wall in an purposeful manner and allowing for sloppiness in how we execute.
And one of Jeff Bezos' greatest fears about Amazon as a company is that it may become a bureaucracy. And we touched on this a little bit. And obviously agile methodology plays a lot into that. Small, empowered teams. And another thing we talked about is the infamous 2 pizza teams. So can you touch on that a little bit and explain how these empowered teams really drive the innovation that Amazon exemplifies?
Well, not every team at Amazon is a 2 pizza team, but a 2 pizza team owns a core capability, and they own it for a long period of time. And their goals are for adoption, customer delight, having a roadmap, growing the features and capability, and operational excellence, like, in a nutshell. And So it allows a team to own a full capability over a long period of time, and hopefully they can move quicker than if you have big monolithic organization structures and everything is tied together in all of these dependencies. So while you still have dependencies and you still have to collaborate, you still have to rationalize, it does increase the velocity at which innovation can happen, decisions can get made, and teams definitely feel like a higher degree of ownership and product ownership.
Excellent. Well, everyone, we really appreciate hosting John here at the annual conference. Again, pick up his book, Think Like Amazon. John Rossman, former Amazon executive and managing partner at Rossman Partners. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.